and X, everywhere that you could possibly be. Welcome on in. We have a heck of a show ahead of us tonight, gents, and let's be honest, it's a double header here. We are at Chickie's and Pete's live in South Philly.
No audio.
I see. We are.
Yeah.
We're working through the tech. Hopefully, folks on the radio and folks on the stream can now hear us. That is our hope.
You guys got us now?
We'll find out.
Yeah, there we
soon.
go. We got us.
Welcome in. So we have a loaded show coming your way, and it's a doubleheader, guys. We are live at Chickies and Pete's in South Philly. And then in about, 2 hours' time, we're heading across the street to the Xfinity Mobile Arena, where your team, your town, your Philadelphia Flyers will take on the Buffalo Sabres, looking to bounce back from a dire, terrible performance against the Pittsburgh Penguins that also saw a very unfortunate injury to Tyson Foerster. So we have a lot to get into tonight. Of course, as always, you have the ability to jump in over on the phones if you want to get involved in the program tonight. The phone number, we'll put it on the screen for those who are watching on YouTube, Facebook, and X. It is 215-949-3232. Again, that is 215-949-3232. Of course, I've done all the talking here alongside, as always, the dapper Anthony SanFilippo with a collared shirt, the absolute stud, number 6 in your program, number 1 in our hearts. Bundy is on the outside. How are we doing, gents?
Doing great, Russ. Thanks for asking.
Busy night.
Yeah.
A lot of pregame stuff here before we kick it off at 7:30 tonight. The Flyers in Buffalo on TNT.
National television.
Yeah.
I think Bush is on the call for them tonight. So at least the fans watching on national TV will get one local voice.
The good news on the local voice front is that at 5:30,
the other one
will be joined by Jim Jackson. So
yeah.
That's something to look forward to at 5:30. No call.
No call.
My kids have actually started saying that, by the way. They watch all the games, right? And they've now picked up on the nuances of different commentators and, garbage into gold back in the Mark Zumoff days on the Sixers, and now they like to do the no call.
Left-handed larceny. Right-handed robbery.
That is a good one.
Yes.
Hey, before we get into the hockey talk, we are here at Chickies and Pete's in South Philly, and Derek Lentz 50 over on YouTube, Bundy, has a question for you. Did Bundy get the peeled shrimp and pizza?
Of course.
Let the people know what the Bundy order is again.
It's clam chowder, the cold peel and eat shrimp, and then a pizza. I usually eat half the little pizza. It's not a real big, thick pizza. And then if there's any leftovers, I leave them for whoever wants them after.
Yeah.
That's what it's all about.
He's a stud.
What did you eat tonight there, Anthony?
I had the crab cake sandwich.
All right. Grilled chicken sandwich was the call tonight.
Yeah.
Got to get a little protein. Got to make the gains. Anyway, let's talk about Monday night. Unfortunately, we have to. Dan Vladar did not have his best effort in net. It was just not a good game, I would say pretty much across the board for the team. And in the midst of that game, we will admit that Dan Vladar can be human. That was what we saw. But Tyson Foerster winds up for a shot, and after releasing the shot, immediately drops the stick, holds his shoulder, and something is very wrong. Bundy, you kind of speculated the other night that, that could be anything. That could be a dislocation. That could be a rotator cuff thing, labor.
Yeah.
And then we found out, per Danny Briere, 2 to 3 months, the Flyers will be without Tyson Foerster. What's your initial reaction there, Bundy? And from the perspective of a player, what does that do to the locker room, knowing a guy like Foerster is going to be out for an extended period of time?
Yeah, that really stinks because you had a guy that's really been coming into his own, 10 goals in 21 games this year. He's played well. He's a good defensive force as well. That's a tough injury. It really, really is, especially where the Flyers are trying to get to try to stay in that playoff spot. And now it's a matter of other guys having to step up. I think there's guys that have to step up. One of them, Travis Konechny, he needs to really get his work boots on and get in the goal scoring again. They're going to need his goals.
Yeah.
And Matvei Michkov to kind of continue on the pace that he's on over the last few games.
Yeah, Talk said it today. Like he was asked, who's going to be expected to kind of fill those shoes, because you can make an argument that Tyson Foerster was the most important forward on this team in a lot of ways, because he not only did he lead the team in goals, but he is a 200-foot player, plays really well defensively, things along those lines. And he said, I'm not going to expect any one guy to do it. He said, I need every player to give 5% more. But he said, but there are a couple guys that need to give 10% more. And I think Travis Konechny was one of the guys he was referring to that has to give that a little bit extra, that he's going to need the scoring from those guys. So that's the deal with replacing Foerster. And look, it's tough, man. Like, this changes the calculus, I think, for a lot of things. I didn't think that they were, anywhere close to trying to look to outside the organization to add a player. I think now that maybe they start to look a little bit. Not to say it's anything that's imminent, but I think that, maybe they look to do something sooner than February, as opposed to maybe they look to do something by Christmas or January even. They're going to try a bunch of different guys. Obviously, we'll get into talking about it. Grabenkin, I talked to him today. He gets the first crack at more minutes, and the Flyers believe in him. We got to talk about Briere saying what he said on our show, because Danny may never come back on the show. He jinxed his own team.
Yeah, I know. I heard about it.
He jinxed his own team.
And by the way, we just put this up on the screen, but officially, right at 5 o'clock, the Flyers announced. Yeah, there it is. Tyson Foerster to
injured reserve.
That's
not
surprising.
Yeah,
we
totally not a surprise.
But
I also think that there's going to be other guys that get a look. People have been, and I think Alex Bump is going to eventually get a look. And when I say eventually, I don't mean 2 months from now. I think it could be as soon as next week sometime. The Phantoms have 3 games in 3 days this weekend. And I think that the Flyers want to see how he looks in those 3 games. And there's a reason for that. And you say, well, why? Playing 3 and 3, you get a real sense of how a guy might look playing 4 and 6 in the NHL or 5 and 8 in the NHL, which is something that this Flyers team is going to have to do a lot with the schedule as condensed as it is. So they really want to get a sense of where he's at in that kind of situation before they make a decision. I think if he has a really good weekend, you could see him next week, what's that? Maybe by the Vegas game, let's say on the 11th or something like that. Like, I think that's a chance for Alex Bump. Until that time, it's going to be Grabenkin getting more of the minutes. They called up Carl Grunstrom again. He's not in the lineup, I don't think, tonight. I think Delorier is going to play tonight. But he's not a guy that they think they can use, other than more than an occasional fourth line role. So I think Bump is going to get an opportunity. And then you wonder if, where do they look outside the organization? Barkey's not close to ready, even though Danny sung his praises too. I think that's kind of where they're at right now, and we'll see how it turns out for Grabenkin.
I want to believe that
you're typing. I'm sorry.
I think the big thing right now is for people who are like me, who have wanted to see Grabenkin get an opportunity. This is the shot. And I thought that Danny's comments the other night were really telling. In that, remember we've speculated a bunch of times. Maybe he's not really a fourth line guy. He could be a third line guy. You kind of combine that with what I think we've kind of seen and heard from Tocchet, and then what we obviously heard from Danny the other night. If he is to be a third line player, this is his opportunity. You have to make the most of it. And I said this on my show earlier today, but if he doesn't succeed, if they try Grabenkin in a third line role here for a bit and it doesn't work out, well, then that kind of gives you an answer as well. Then maybe it is time you send him to the AHL, you get him to kind of work on some things, build up that confidence. And maybe in the meantime, if it is an Alex Bump who comes up, or a Denver Barkey or whoever else, you've at least kind of given yourself a little bit more of a look with Grabenkin. So we'll see.
Yeah, one of the interesting things with Grabenkin is, and Toc gave a great example. He said, last game he had an opportunity on a 2-on-1. And he said that, in practice, when they practice 2-on-1s, he's noticed that Grabenkin slows up to look to make the pass. Obviously, it's in practice. You don't have any trailing players or whatever. It's just a 2-on-1. In the game, he had an opportunity for a 2-on-1 against Pittsburgh. Did the same thing, slowed up to make the pass rather than, take a shot on net. And Pittsburgh trailing guy comes in and intercepts the pass. Flyers don't even get an opportunity. So he said we had to communicate that to him, to shoot it. They did 2-on-1s in practice today, and he said he was outstanding. He said, he took the information that we gave him, and he's applied it in practice. It's just practice. You got to hope he does it in the game as well, right? But it's little things like that. And we asked Grabenkin about it. hey, the coach is talking to you. He's like, yeah, look, it's tough sometimes. Obviously, he's like, but I do understand this, and I want to be better. And so like, he seems like a guy who wants to grasp what they're telling him. It's just a matter of, no one's ever really worked with him on this kind of stuff before. He's never had that kind of coaching before, where they focus on those little details. And so it's just a matter of retraining yourself to have it become more instinctual, right?
Right. Yeah, and I mean, and I, there's times that I think that's right where he does make more assertive plays than not, and then there's times where he's guessing where he's supposed to be on the ice. So those are learning curve issues that the team is going to work on and continue to get better at, and that's where the player will continue to get better with good coaching. That's what you hope for anyway. I like the opportunity that they're going to give him, though. He's in the top 9, Grabenkin.
Yep.
Looks like he's going to play with
Cates
and Brink.
Yeah, that's good. I mean, it's an easy 1-for-1 swap, and it also gives you the opportunity to have two of those guys at least that have played together a lot this year, and maybe it helps. Bobby Brink hasn't looked like the same player apart from the other two at different stages this season, so maybe that gets him back on as well. Obviously, the line that people saw in the preseason that they're intrigued by, that you absolutely assume right now is a total non-starter, is that Grabenkin, Mishkov, and Zegras line. But we'll see. I mean, hopefully tonight, Grabenkin gets that look, and maybe he's able to make some of those instinctual plays. We'll see.
There were 2 other changes to the lines at the skate this morning. It doesn't mean it's what it's going to be tonight, but you assume that's what it's going to be tonight. And so they kept Dvorak and Zegras together, but they put they took Konechny off that line. They put
Tippett.
No, I think it's Mishkov is there.
Dvorak, Zegras, and Mishkov.
I think so.
I got it right here, guys.
Do you have it? Is that what it was this morning?
Zegras, Dvorak, and Konechny.
Oh no, it's Konechny. Okay, so
Mishkov, Couturier, and Tippett.
They put Tippett with. That's what it was. They put Tippett with Mishkov. Okay, that's what they did. Yes.
I get them mixed up too. Yeah. All the time. The top 9 because
but that's what they did. They put Tippett with Mishkov.
I'm just trying to understand the Tippett, Mishkov, and Couturier line. I don't get it. I don't see it. But okay.
Yeah. So that's what they did. They put Tippett with Mishkov.
Okay.
So yeah.
Interesting call. Bundy, one of the
Zamula's back in tonight too, by the way.
Yes.
Who comes out?
Juleson.
Okay.
Yeah.
Igor Zamula. He's here. That's actually fitting that you brought him up because he's a guy that we've talked about a bunch this year of being a guy who could very well end up on waivers once Rasmus Ristolainen is back. And I know a lot of people have been asking about Risto.
Was it practice today?
Yeah, there you go. So it seems like things might be pointing in the right direction for young Rasmus Ristolainen.
About 2 weeks. I mean, so he's still in a non-contact jersey. So he's not been cleared yet for contact. I think once he gets cleared for contact, it's like 2 practices and you go. That's usually what it is, right?
Okay.
Like,
yeah, so you got to get him in shape.
Yeah, but I'm saying like once you're cleared for contact, it's usually that.
Usually,
quick. Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see where they slot him in. I know we talked about this over on Press Row Show the other night, but Bundy, like just for the people who are kind of wondering, you look at the way that this blue line has played this year, it's been better than expected. The question is, when Risto is back, do you immediately try to throw him into one of those top 2 pairs, or as part of the conditioning, do you put him on a third pair for a few games and also not run the risk of kind of blowing up some of the chemistry that a couple of these guys have had together?
Yeah, I don't have him in my top 4 to start. I'm going to start him in a third pair role and let him play his way through that, get back in shape, get reaccustomed to the game again. He's been out a long time.
Yeah.
I don't think that would be fair, but I would start him off slow and then build him up towards playing more minutes as the games go on.
Yeah, he may start on the third pair, but he's ultimately going to be a second pair guy. I think.
Right.
I ultimately think so. That's what it's going to be. So, I mean that's one good sign, I guess. You look at it and sit there and go, hey, Risto's getting closer, and he will help that defense.
Yep.
He will definitely help the defense, and they've been good, but it'll help them be even better. So yeah, I mean, look, the other thing I look at for tonight's game, guys, and I say the one thing that the Flyers have not done this year is let bad games kind of add up on them. Mm-hmm. So only once this year have they lost consecutive games in regulation.
Who's that?
The Flyers.
Yeah.
Only once. And that was the Toronto-Calgary back-to-back games at the beginning of November. Other than that, every time they've lost, they've bounced back with at least a point, if most times with a win right afterwards. That's a good sign. Like, that shows me a little bit of something of growth in the locker room.
Yeah.
That they are able to not, I mean, think about how many times in the past 3, 4, 5, 7 years they get on these long ass losing streaks, right? Like,
I mean, for a while, right? It was 2-3 years in a row they had at least a 9 or a 10 game losing streak. I mean, that's almost unconscionable, and yet it was almost a routine thing with this team for a few years.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. So far, again, we're only in early December, but so far they've shown some resiliency to bounce back from a bad game. And I think last Monday's game was probably their worst game of the year.
Yeah.
I mean, I go back to the Winnipeg game in October was not good. The Tampa game in Tampa last week was not great. And then I still think, Monday's game was their worst of the three.
They could have been down 5-0 last week against Florida.
Yeah.
In that first period.
Well, the first period was bad.
It was unbelievable.
Yeah,
but the goalie bailed them right out of that.
Yeah. So here's something I wanted to ask you about, because I know you watched the game in a similar way that Talk watches it. Talk said, even when they were down against Pittsburgh, he said that there were 4 or 5 opportunities where the Penguins' forecheck got too far in, and that there were chances for the Flyers to have rushes the other way, and they couldn't do it. They couldn't break out of the zone. And it was because they were taking bad routes to going, I guess, bad routes coming out of the zone or breakout. Do you see some of that as well? He said there were at least 4 or 5 opportunities against Pittsburgh that just they didn't take advantage of that they should have.
I just thought Pittsburgh had a good forecheck the other day. I mean, they played a good game.
Yeah,
they really did. I mean, I don't watch the tape like Talkett does. I see the game and then I move on to the next one.
Right.
Coaches are watching it 10 times, to catch it. So I don't know. I didn't notice that during the game, Anthony, but I'm sure if Rick said it, he's right on, or he saw something that could have worked.
Yeah, he said they showed it in video. They showed them on video. So big thing for them.
I want to get to a question and a comment that came in over on YouTube. But before we do, Ann, I think it'd probably be a good idea to let people know about where we're at tonight, because as always, we are at a wonderful Chickies and Pete's location.
Yes.
Why don't you let the people know? Maybe for the people who are in attendance here, they're kind of wondering. They're looking at the menu. It's a big menu. It's a great menu. One of the best. And maybe they're wondering what they should order. Why don't you let the people know?
You're listening to Snow the Goalie. We're live from Chickies and Pete's on 1490 WBCB 107.3 FM. Obviously seen live on YouTube at Snow the Goalie and at WBCB Sports. But we're at Chickies and Pete's. And don't forget that we're at Chickies and Pete's every Wednesday, although later in December will be a couple of Tuesdays because of the holidays. But every Wednesday, we're at a different Chickies and Pete's location. And no matter the sports season, Chickies and Pete's has got you covered. When you go to Chickies and Pete's, and there are a lot of Flyers fans in here right now, you could start the meal off right with, always get some crab fries. We
100%.
always get crab fries. Always get the crab fries. They have menu white wine mussels, where you can get the red or garlic kind as well. They're delicious.
Let's actually have that conversation. What way do you go? White wine mussels, or do you go with the red sauce?
I usually go garlic.
Yeah?
I like adding a little spicy to the mussels.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like the white. I do.
Okay, that's fair.
White, you have a little pepper flakes in there.
It's good. It's good.
Yeah, it's good. Very good.
They have great burgers. They have the tailgate burger, the Fightins burger. I've gotten the barbecue burger several times.
Chicken sandwich is good.
You get the chicken sandwich. But Bundy already talked about the Bundy order that he does. Check out one of more than 17 locations in the Philadelphia area. And be sure that next time you're at the Wells Fargo Center, I'm sorry, the Xfinity Mobile Arena. You know what?
The Xmo.
Bundy said Wells Fargo like right before the show, and it gets stuck in my head. But at the Xfinity Mobile Arena in the East Food Hall or at the Southeast entrance in front of Section 103.
I'm going to be hitting up Chickies and Pete's before I go to Europe in January, because there's a Chickies and Pete's inside of the Philadelphia International Airport.
There is.
I always
been there many times.
And I like to hit that place up before I get on the plane.
Yeah.
Do you think anybody would complain if I got a crab cake sandwich to go and I just whipped that out like 4 hours into a flight to Austria?
I think you'd look perfectly normal, to be honest with you.
Thank you, Bundy.
4 hours into the flight, though, it'd be kind of stinky.
Yeah,
what if
that flight might already be stinky by then anyway.
This is true. This is true. All right, before JJ gets here, we have to do our weekly Payroll Service Solutions Player of the Week. It's brought to you, of course, by Payroll Service Solutions. Call them today, 1-866-PAY-EASY. It's 1-866-PAY-EASY. And guys, I'm going to make my call on this one this week, kind of as you feel bad,
Okay.
because we're not going to have an opportunity to bestow this honor on this player for a long time, and that's Tyson Foerster. I thought Tyson Foerster was playing some really good hockey since our last episode last Tuesday, right? That game against Florida last Tuesday, and then the 2 games against the Islanders and the Devils over the weekend. I thought he was really good. He scored the lone goal against the Penguins before he got hurt. So in my mind, Payroll Service Solutions Player of the Week this week for the Flyers is Tyson Foerster.
I'm going to change it again from Foerster. He had a good week. He had the game winner last week against Florida in that game. But I'm going back to Vladar.
Yeah.
I wherever the Flyers would be without that goalie right now, I have no idea. I have absolutely no earthly idea where they would stand right now. They've come back 10 times, and Vladar last week, as I said, in that Florida game, which was the night after we did our last Chickies and Pete show, they won the game because of him in the first period. It ended up being 2-0 at some point early in the second period. He was just sensational. He ended up winning the game again against New Jersey, and that gave the Flyers a very successful 3-1 trip. They don't go 3-1 without Vladar last week.
Yeah, the only reason I didn't go with Vladar again is because I didn't think he had a great game.
Monday was rough.
Monday.
Yeah. Right.
That was the only reason I didn't go with Vladar,
Yeah.
and that's why I went with Foerster. So what do you got there, Russell?
I'm actually going to go against both of you because I'm looking at a guy who has 4 points in the last 3 games, and I would say that he has been in a lot of ways the straw that stirs the drink. And I'm going to go to Trevor Zegras, who I think just continues to play at a point per game pace right now. And you want to talk about like where would the Flyers be without Dan Vladar? I would say that is clearly the number one, but I think number 2 is like where would these forwards be without Trevor Zegras?
My only thing against Zegras, and I'm not going saying that you're wrong about how he's played. He has played well. I think Zegras has been able to play as well as he has because Christian Dvorak is so responsible on that line. I think since they put those two together, that Dvorak has made Zegras be able to play the way he's played.
Yeah, he still needs a guy that plays defensive hockey to help him out.
Yeah.
Zegras, he's just not that good in his own zone.
Right. And it's funny because Danny mentioned it on our show the other night. He said, I don't think that he gets enough credit when he was talking about Dvorak.
Yeah.
And that's what he's talking about. Like, I think that Dvorak has allowed Trevor Zegras to be a point per game player. Whereas if they were playing him with somebody else, Trevor Zegras would probably not be getting the opportunities that he's been getting to score points. So that's the only reason I would go against Zegras. So now we have to make a call. We all went with a different player.
Doesn't matter to me.
What do you think, Russ? If I had to pull you off of yours, which way would you go with one of ours?
I think that just out of respect for the wounded,
You'll go Foerster?
I'd go Tyson Foerster.
All right.
Okay, I'll live with that.
You can live with that? You can live with that?
I'm a sucker.
So-
I'm a sentimental kind of guy.
Tyson Foerster will be your Payroll Service Solutions Philadelphia Flyers Player of the Week. Once again, brought to you by Payroll Service Solutions. Call them today, 1-866-PAY-EASY for the smart choice in payroll services. Payroll Service Solutions are catering to the small and medium-sized businesses to handle all of your payroll needs. Once again, call them at 1-866-PAY-EASY.
You know what I am going to do, though? Just because I'm a man of the people, as we all are. We're all men of the people on this show.
Yeah.
I'm actually going to put it out on a poll over on YouTube. So if you're over on the Snow The Goalie YouTube,
There you go.
I'll put all 3 up, and we'll see who the people believe.
Look, Greg Bondarenko
Payroll
made that recommendation. It said fan vote.
I didn't see that, but you know what? See, that just goes to show that we are in lockstep with our friends over in the comments section. That's what it's all about.
We're going to have to pull the camera
Oh, look at this. Our guest has arrived, and we're going to make a couple of changes here. For those who are not watching right now, those of you who are listening on the radio, you're going to recognize this voice. You don't need to see his face. Good-looking guy. Great facial hair. Wonderfully coiffed hair.
Prescription check
You
there.
don't need to see him to recognize that voice. It is the voice of the Philadelphia Flyers. Jim Jackson, how are you doing?
Doing great. How are you guys?
What's going on, Jimmy?
What's a game like tonight for you? When it's a national game and you don't get to call it.
Bundy knows about it. I hate sitting out games.
Yeah?
Can't stand it. Yeah, I'd rather be calling the game. But when I will say this, when I watch the game and I'm not calling the game, I see a lot of stuff that I don't see when I'm calling the game, away from the play, things like that, how a guy is doing defensively, things like that. So I will watch. I'll chart chances, and but not calling it doesn't sit well with me.
Yeah, you get kind of fidgety, right?
Absolutely. And whoever's sitting next to me has to hear me call it probably anyhow. So.
Yeah, they're tough when you get the national game and your broadcasters, especially on the road. It's the worst because you got to kind of just mix in with everybody else, try to stay out of everybody's way to get ready for the game.
Yeah.
But
pretend you're important.
Pretend you're important while staying out of eyesight of anyone.
Exactly.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. That's great. So, Jim, we were just actually maybe we'd have Jim break the tie for us too.
Yeah,
let's do that.
We've gone out to the people. The
We'll go
people
out to the
they'll weigh in, but
yeah. So we do a player of the week. It's a sponsored thing that we do on the show. And we all picked somebody different this week.
Really?
Yeah. And so we want to see if maybe you
I
can
have
break
to think
the tie.
about this now. I'm all into what's going on in the future.
Post the Tampa game, so starting in Florida.
Okay, so the last 3 games.
4 games.
Four games with a loss.
Yeah.
I'm trying to block that one out.
Yeah. Nobody wants to
All right,
remember
let me
Pittsburgh.
think about this because I'm not one of these guys who always goes with the guy who has the most points.
Yeah.
I try to figure out who had the most influence in the games. So I'm going back. I'm thinking about all the games. One in Florida was Island, and then obviously the
New
Devils
Jersey.
game. And it was like there were different players. Who am I going to go with? We'll see.
I like the
Could-
thinking. I
could
like
go-
the thought process.
let's hear who's thinking.
I was saying Zegras. Zegras is who came to my mind first, but there were other. But I'll go Zegras.
Look at
That
that.
actually made
the
it
guys
2.
on the ends.
That's 2.
He
That's
went
2 for
with
Zegras.
Russ
I
went
went
with Zegras.
Russ went with Zegras.
I
I
took-
knew there was one
See,
smart
right,
guy
yeah.
there. Yeah.
Anthony went with
Tyson Foerster.
Tyson Foerster.
He would have been my second choice.
And I took Vladar because I don't
Well,
think the Flyers are 3-1 without
that's-
his game against Florida.
Yeah, without the Jersey game, and it wasn't. I'm sorry, without the Pittsburgh game, it wasn't his fault.
No, just one of those nights.
He was, I would say, through the 3 wins, I probably would have gone Vladar. But so
They're probably
so
the 3 best
all
choices.
3 of you
All
guys
three.
have good choices.
Yeah.
Yes, that's what I'm trying to
So
say.
there you
Yeah.
go. Good stuff.
Yeah, Zegras has been. It's amazing. You know, they're 6-0 when he scores a goal. He has not gone more than 2 points, 2 games a year this year in a row without a point. I mean, he's not been known as a consistent player necessarily throughout his career, but that's what he's been for the Flyers.
What do you think of Danny was talking the other night about Christian Dvorak. We were just talking about him too. How much does he allow Zegras to play his game?
He does. I mean, there's no doubt Trevor needs a defensive conscience on his line, and Dvorak has been that. Dvorak has gone 3 or 4 now, I think 5 games without a scoring chance. I want to see him get back to having some offense in his game too, but there's no doubt when he's playing with guys like Zegras and Tippett and guys like that you have to have someone out there who's going to take care of the defensive side of the puck because those two want to be allowed to create, and that's what they do.
One of the things I'm going to go on a slightly negative side here, but not majorly, but only because Rick Tocchet brought it up. He was concerned last game that they finally got bit on the penalty kill.
Yes,
because it's kind of lost its structure a little bit.
it has.
He says they've been drifting into they play that aggressive diamond, right? And he said the last few games, actually about 5 games, the goalies have saved them a number of times.
They have.
That it's kind of drifted to more of a box. And he said, I hate the box. Like what are you seeing? He says more about defensive communication. That's lacking.
It is. Sometimes it's energy. I mean, I thought the other night, first of all, Pittsburgh was throwing the puck around like vintage Penguins on the power play. Crosby, Malkin, and Letang, Carlson, all those guys. So, but I would say that, and if you look at the numbers, the penalty kill started to fade about 2.5 to 3 weeks ago. They gave up 3 straight games. They gave up a goal and only had 2 against in each game. Then they had a couple games where it looked a little bit better, but mainly it was the goaltender, who was the most important penalty killer. But Vladar saved them a couple times. Anderson had a couple games where at least on the penalty kill, he made some big saves. So I agree with him. You can see it when you're looking from up above, and Bundy knows about this more than I do. But when you start to lose shape with your penalty kill, and then there's lanes. There's just the seams open up.
That's what happened with the Brian Russ goal the other night. What happened was the Flyers had their diamond, but what happened was Sanheim backed in, And when that puck went out to Russ, what his job is to actually straight line out to that guy to alleviate the pressure, either the puck going down towards the net or going back to the point. And Russ saw it. And he says, you know what? I'm just going to use him as a screen.
Yep.
And that's exactly what he did. Sanheim was not able to get out or didn't process to get out to work that diamond. It's not really, he couldn't figure it out. It's just a matter they fell out of structure.
Yeah, and you wonder
happens
with Sandy whether it's, is he getting a little tired? He's, third, fourth in the league in minutes per game. And this schedule is pretty demanding. So I haven't seen the same energy with some of the players. Certainly didn't see it in the Pittsburgh game. Hope it's back tonight. This is a big game tonight. They need to win this game, especially with Colorado being your next game. But also, they haven't lost 2 in a row in regulation, but once all year. They're 7-1-2 after losses. That's the best record in the NHL after losses. They want to keep that going. You got to bounce back after losses. So this is, I know it's Buffalo. People think they're easy, but they've actually played better hockey lately. This is a pretty big game. They need to get two points there.
Losing Foerster, obviously he's a leading goal scorer. Other guys are going to have to step up and bring the offense. Talk said he wants everybody to play with a little bit more, play about 5% more. But he did say there's a couple guys that need to probably play 10% more. Yeah. Who do you think those couple guys are? Who need to add those goals?
I would think the leaders of the team, the guys who get the most ice time. Travis Konecny's probably one. TK has a ridiculous number going right now that I just read for the first time, though. In the last 8 games, he hasn't been on the ice for an even strength goal against. Really impressive.
Wow.
Yeah, it's really impressive.
Considering how he turns the puck over, that kind of surprises me.
He takes chances for sure. But when he's talking about that, I mean, he really means everybody. It doesn't work if one guy improves 10% and another guy goes back 5%. They need, from Monday, they need a lot of guys to be better. From the game in Jersey, not necessarily so. I mean, they just need to bounce back as a team. But Foerster is not just a goal scorer. He's I would say their best all-around forward. I think he's graduated to that point now. And he kills a lot of plays. You don't see the puck in the Flyers zone that much when Foerster's on the ice. That's a huge loss, not just because he's a goal scorer, but because of all the other stuff he brings. So, they need guys like Dvorak to actually get back to maybe where he was as a two-way force 5 or 6 games ago. TK, I always say, because he's kind of the engine of the team, so he has to rev it up. Sean Couturier's got to be there's all. I can go right down the list. There's players. I mean, who Zegras probably is one guy who just has to be where he's been. Tip's been pretty good of late. Michkov's on the rise. He has to continue that way. So you can go right down the lineup, really, Anthony, and you could say almost every guy has to step up, and the defenseman too.
Yeah, agreed. That's kind of what we said. The first guy I said was Konechny.
Yeah. Well, he's the engine, right?
Yeah,
he's been for a while.
Yeah, so. And he's not on a torrid pace goal scoring wise. No. So when somebody's out like Foerster, it's the next guy up that's got to step up for that.
Yeah, if you're talking about just the offense, TK would probably be number one on the list because he's behind a pace that you'd want him to be at. A lot of guys are pretty much on pace. Michkov's picked up a lot of goals lately, but he's got to continue to be a force offensively. But if we're talking just the goal scoring part of Tyson Foerster that they're going to be missing, I mean, they got to get more from that. It would be nice to get even a little offense from the fourth line. I mean, a big part of it's going to be Grabenkin. He's going to now play up in the lineup. He's going to get his chance. He's only had a couple of those. When Foerster was out earlier, he got a couple, and he actually did produce a little bit. So I'm really interested in seeing how he reacts. I have a conversation with my broadcast partner about him all the time, and he's like, well, he's not showing much. And I'm like, yeah, but, it's when he's not getting much ice time. He's playing 8-9 minutes, and when you get that, you feel like you have to do something every shift, and sometimes you try to do too much. So, and, Bush really likes him as a player. So we're going to probably see more of him now as a player, and he'll get a chance. And if he doesn't do it, then it's probably going to be another either Grunstrom or a youngster, Bump or somebody comes up. Somebody's got to graduate to that top 9 while Foerster's out.
Yeah, I agree. And we were talking about Grabenkin earlier. It was interesting to talk about him. And I was telling the story he was saying earlier today that at practice they were working on 2-on-1s with him because they want him to shoot the puck.
Yes.
And he's looking to pass the puck a little bit too much. And he says it's tough because you don't want to give him too much information because of the language barrier. Right. It's kind of hard. But at the same time, you need him to play a certain way. And he doesn't feel like he's ever had that kind of detailed coaching in his career before. And so it's kind of a delicate balance with him. And so they were hoping to give him a little bit more time, but they feel like they feel like they could give him a little bit of a runway here and see maybe if he could be a third line kind of guy.
Yeah, and I know Tox talked about he's afraid they've given him so much that he's out there thinking instead of playing. Yeah. And I think the message to him lately has been more just go out and play. And we've taught you a lot of things. Try to work them into your game, but don't forget to just go out and play, because if you remember him in the preseason, and of course he was playing more minutes, power play, things like that. But he really, to me, jumped out as a guy who has some skill. He can wins battles along the wall. He should be one of the better flyers along the wall. And we were talking about how the scouting report on him is his speed might be a problem. It didn't look like it early. And then as you watch him here in the last 10 or 12 games that he's played, you say, well, yeah, he might be a half step slow. But he wasn't when he was getting more ice time. So my hope is that when he's comfortable, when he's taking a regular shift, when he's playing with more skilled players, that's not a lack of speed at all. It was more he was trying to process things in his game and slow it down.
The last 2 times out, Sam Ersson has looked a little bit better. I would say before the Tampa game, there was maybe some concern with where he was, except for shootouts. Obviously, he's tremendous in the shootout.
We need to hypnotize him into thinking the game is a shootout.
Right, exactly. What have you seen from him in those last 2 starts? I know it was only 17 shots against Tampa, but I thought he played really well against the Islanders, even though they came back from the 3-goal deficit to tie it. I don't really put that on Sam. What have you seen in those last 2 games that show you that maybe he's back to being the guy that he was before this season?
Well, the thing about Sam is what we usually praise him for is his calm demeanor in net.
Yeah.
But when a goalie isn't playing well and has that demeanor, then we say, well, he's not being aggressive enough. So I'm not an expert enough on goaltending to know when he's doing that and when he isn't. Bush would, you've probably been around enough goaltenders.
A little bit, yeah.
You might have an idea. But, I mean, he has to walk that tightrope between calm and aggressive. And I think at times this year has looked as though maybe he's gone back into the calm a little too much and not maybe aggressive enough. And with Sam, it isn't like you watch a game and you say, oh, he's been terrible. But there's like that one goal that maybe he could have stopped, right?
Yeah.
So he doesn't have to improve that much to get that. And I remember two stretches with Sam. One was last year after Christmas to the Four Nations break. And that was a 14 to 15 game stretch for him. He had a save percentage in the 920s. That's a pretty long stretch for a goalie to be in the 920s. And he had the one the year before where everyone was starting to anoint him. So he is capable of these stretches of really good goaltending. And the Flyers need that right now because Vladar's been playing a lot, maybe a little slippage in the last game or two. Now it's Sam's turn to maybe step up.
I wanted to pick your brain here for a second from what you do on a night in and night out basis. When the team has this many games in such a condensed period of time and you're preparing for games, one, do you like being in the arena that much, that often, and just kind of have to, kind of the amount of stats, the prep and everything, you kind of have to purge it from your brain and kind of go back into it. Do you like that better, or do you like having a little bit more time in between to kind of dive deeper into the opposition?
I envy football announcers. They get build up for a week, do a game, and then build up the week, do a game. But I would say that you get into a rhythm. When the season is Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, and then maybe you break till Tuesday again. That's fine. You get a day off somewhere in there, Sunday maybe, watch football. I don't mind a day off here and there, but I also did baseball for 14 years, and that's every day forever. So as Ant knows, it is a grind. I know it's a different sport, and even as an announcer, you don't do as much prep for baseball because you're obviously 3 games against the same team, so it's not like you're doing a different team every game. But you still have to be on your game and sharp every time you're on the air. So that is a tremendous grind. So hockey, to me, compared to that, is not as tough. You get a day off usually. You have a couple back-to-backs. Flyers have 14 this year. Back-to-backs are rushed, Russ. I'll tell you, those are ones where I feel like I might have to cut back on my prep. But as long as you have a day off, you get your full prep in. And as long as you get a day where you're completely off away from hockey once a week or so, it's good. And once I'm at the arena, once I'm in the booth, everything's good. There have been times when I've had, Bundy knows this, I've had a cold or something, and you feel like crap all day. But then you're there, the puck drops, you're in the booth, and you feel better. Yeah. It's just like kind of my, I don't know, what's the word for it?
Superpower.
Nirvana. You're just, that's where I want to be.
So what's it going to look like for you when the Olympic break hits?
I'm going away with my wife to California. That's what it's
nice.
going.
There you go.
For about most of that, 10. How long? It's about 17 days, right?
Yeah.
I think we're gone for 10 days. So
Nice.
I'll have a week where I'm here too. I'm doing broadcast coaching as well, so I have to open up some dates for that. But for the most part, relaxing. Get away from it and be ready for what's going to be a sprint after that.
Speaking of the Olympics, what's up with the ice?
Big time trouble.
Today is that a
Oh,
real problem?
I just heard a report today. They're way behind, and now the ice is going to be smaller.
It's going to be like the old
Smaller,
odd in
yeah.
Buffalo.
Smaller than the NHL.
Smaller
ice.
NHL, but usually
Yeah.
Olympic
Yeah.
ice is much
It's
bigger.
way bigger.
Yes, I would say it's an advantage to the American and Canadian teams, just 'cause
Sure.
of the styles they play. But I can't believe, with all the time you have to build up for this, that they got that wrong. It's just hard to believe. But they're not sure it's going to be ready. If the NHL is going to check in early January, and then you're talking a month away. If it's not done, we might start hearing about contingency plans. I mean, the players aren't going to go.
Or
I read that today from
Could you
Bill
have-
Daly.
could you imagine if the players didn't go and there's that break in the season?
Yeah, they can't do anything about that because the arena availability is gone.
Right.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, it would be the strangest thing. The players are going to go on vacations.
Yeah. What are
It's
you going to do for 2.5 weeks?
Yeah.
Would they just relocate it? And
I would think that.
I haven't
would
heard
think that
any.
would be
I haven't
better.
heard any talk about that.
but I
though.
mean that would probably be
'Cause
the only
the-
other thing that makes sense,
It,
right?
it
It's
would
just- I
make
don't know how
sense,
you-
but
I don't know
as
how
you
do
know,
that.
Russ, in this world, not everything that makes sense
Yeah,
happens.
yeah.
I mean, I'm not sure that you can. I mean, you'd have to get everybody to get that to happen would be a major project.
monumental disaster.
Yes. I mean,
Yeah.
where would they go? Austria? I don't know. Where do we go to play it? It's,
Switzerland.
yeah, it's they maybe. I mean, it would be better than no competition at all. But then you're
wild.
not at the Olympics. So is it really the Olympics if you're not there? It's going to be fascinating. I can't believe we're at this point. I know I'm sure Bill Daly listening to him today, you can tell he can't believe we're at this point.
I agree. Yeah, I mean, he mentioned that too about the availability of players if they don't rectify it.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't know.
They couldn't look to
Never
like
been in
hold. I
something like
mean,
this.
in theory, right? They wouldn't look to hold their, like how they did the Four Nations last year. They wouldn't look to try to do like an alternate tournament during the same time and have it stateside, would they?
Well, it would be just the tournament moved. I think you can't. Whether it would be considered the Olympics or not, I don't know. And secondly, where are you going to find arenas this tight to it?
Yeah.
I mean, it's going to be. Maybe you can dance around the concerts and everything else that people have scheduled to do a short tournament, but it wouldn't be a full Olympic tournament. So
Jeez.
I don't know how you would do that. That would be perhaps even more monumental than what they did coming out of COVID, which was incredible that the NHL got that all
Yeah.
without missing a full season. But I don't know how they on such short notice. Now they've only had a couple months to get ready for it. It'd be really tough.
That's wild. That's wild. What can you before we let you go, JJ? And thanks for coming on. We love having you on the show.
Anytime.
thanks.
What can you tell us about the Buffalo Sabres?
Well, I think the people are probably here in Philly underestimating them because they got off to a bad start. They haven't made the playoffs in 14 straight years, and they didn't make major changes. So why would you expect them to be different? But if you look at their recent games, they've really been out. They outplayed. They lost 5-0 and outshot the Devils like 42-22. I watched the game. They were the better team. They didn't get great goaltending that night, and the Devils got great goaltending from Jake Allen. So you're looking at a situation where they're probably a little bit better than their record. They've won their last two. They smoked Winnipeg in their last game. They're scoring goals. Thompson's hot. Tuck's hot. So I know Tuck's saying all this to the guys, but it's so easy now. You see the Sabres, you think easy win, especially at home. Not necessarily so. Flyers have to be ready, and they've had problems with Flyers this year with starts. They really don't want to have that tonight. So I think the fact that they had a game that didn't go very well for them in their last game bodes well for the Flyers getting off to a better start because fresh in their memories was that loss to Pittsburgh. But don't overlook Buffalo. They have now for the whole year, it's going to be a tough stretch for them to make the playoffs because of the bad start they got off to. They have talent, though, right, Bundy? I mean, there's talent there.
They do. It just hasn't turned for them.
They haven't been able to put it all together. And if they do fall off, you wonder if they start to deal because there's been rumors about Dahlin, who I would love.
Oh,
And
yeah.
talk about Quinn Hughes. Dahlin is right up there with him, but he's been in Buffalo, so nobody really knows this. He's a little more physical. He's a different player than Quinn Hughes, but
Great player.
But he's a great player. Where's Tuck? He's a free agent. Where's he going? He would be a good addition to some teams. Maybe not the Flyers. He might be a little old for the Flyers rebuild, but he's late 20s. I don't know if that's too old. They could add. They could stand to add another good forward, but they really want centers and D, obviously. But you look at Buffalo and what happens if they do hit a slump and fall completely out of it? Are they one of the teams with maybe a Vancouver or a Nashville or that just sells? Going to be very interesting to watch.
And when you think about Buffalo, they have 2 defensemen that were the number 1 overall picks in the draft.
Owen Power,
and Darlene. Yeah, I mean, it's crazy, and it just they haven't been able to get up over that hump.
Yeah, Byram's considered a good defenseman as well. Matthias Samuelsson. So they have some decent young players there. Tage Thompson's a stud, of course. They have younger players, Zach Benson, some of these other guys too. They shouldn't be 14 straight years out of the playoffs. It hasn't been like they've been barren of talent all this time. They just haven't been able to put the talent and make the puzzle fit, and that's a big part of it. Maybe they haven't had the right coach. Maybe they haven't had the right GM. They have had talent, and they are a cautionary tale for those fans out there, and you guys know of them, who want to tank every year and get that top pick. Buffalo's been drafting in the top 10 for a decade and a half, and they still haven't gotten into the playoffs. So it doesn't guarantee you anything.
TDS, Bundy, TDS.
Yeah.
Tank Derangement Syndrome.
Tank Derangement Syndrome.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
All right.
Stands for.
I wasn't sure where you were going with that. All right, yeah, TDS.
Yeah.
It exists. It's real. No doubt.
Jim Jackson, thanks as always.
Thanks, JJ.
Oh, my pleasure.
We'll see you over at the
I didn't
rink
realize
after.
I was talking to – I didn't realize you guys were here, too, on a game day. I guess Wednesdays only?
Yeah. It is, yeah.
So now you shift over?
We go over and do a show over at the building.
Talk about that. You're working harder now than you were
on
on TV.
Yeah.
But, it's great. Great being with you guys.
Yeah, you're
Thanks,
the best,
Jimmy.
my friend.
Thanks, buddy.
Jim Jackson, ladies and gents. Stick taps. Anthony on the table. Hand check. Thank you.
Stick taps. There you go.
Stick taps.
Stick taps.
All right.
for Jim.
So there's a lot to unpack. We'll remind the people out there, if you want to get in on the conversation, we got, 13 minutes or so left on the air before we head over to go do the Press Row Show. You can give us a call, 215-949-3232. Again, that's 215-949-3232. Gents, I guess, it probably makes sense. We don't want to look past this Buffalo game because, as JJ just mentioned, a better team than expected. Let's maybe also just kind of take that wider look here, because it's a condensed schedule over the next week or so. Still 4 more home games on this homestand beyond tonight. Tonight is the 5th or 2nd overall of 6. And I think the last time when they went out on the road, you kind of said they got to go 2-1-1, and they went 3-1-0.
Yeah, they did better than I thought.
So, all right, they have a loss against Pittsburgh. What do you think they need to do over the next 5 games, we'll include tonight, in order to keep themselves in strong position?
Well, you always want to be on the plus side of 500, right? So I would say at bare minimum, you want to go 3-2 over the next 5 games. But then that ultimately, you got to include the game the other night in the conversation. And then you say, well, you had a 6-game homestand and you only went 500. That's probably not good enough. The way I look at it, you got Buffalo, I think, even though JJ gave the warning, they are a team you should beat.
Colorado. You talking about Buffalo?
Yeah.
Somebody needs to tell me how Buffalo is a favorite tonight in Philadelphia. They're 2-9 overall, but they're a -130 favorite on the road, which is not a little line.
Yeah, Sam Ersson
that's
effect?
crazy.
I think it's a combination of the Foerster injury and Ersson being in net instead of Ladar.
Still unbelievable. Buffalo was 2-9 overall on the road this year.
Yeah, that's crazy to me. But then you look at Sunday, you got Colorado, and they are a wagon.
Yeah, they just don't. Yeah. They win by accident.
They are
unbelievable.
As good a team regular season. Now, granted, we don't know what's going to look like come playoff time, but they're as good a regular season team as I've seen in quite some time.
Boston 3 years ago was unbelievable.
Similar, right? But yeah, they just are dominating everybody. The Flyers should be better than the Sharks, who they play next Tuesday. Although they're better, they're an improved team. San Jose.
The Sharks no joke anymore.
Yeah, but I still think the Flyers should be better than them. And then it gets tough at the end because then you got Vegas, although I think they'll be up for that game, especially if Carter Hart plays, and I'm sure we'll talk about Carter Hart later on tonight on the Press Row Show. Well, he made his debut last night for Vegas.
Yeah.
And then Carolina, who's obviously one of the best teams in the conference. So it is a tough schedule. I say 3-2, and you're feeling good. Maybe you want to get one of those 2 losses to be in overtime and make it a 3-1-1. You'll probably feel a little bit better about
6
the
games
homestand,
right?
Yeah.
You said 3-1-1.
Well, no, over the next 5.
On.
Oh, from here on.
Yeah. And then that way, if the homestand is a 3-2-1 homestand.
Yeah, JJ's right, though. Tonight's a really big game.
Yeah.
Because if you lose this,
You're
and
in
then you have
trouble.
Colorado.
You could be in trouble.
Then all of
Yeah.
a sudden that no 10 gamer, no long losing streak, all of a sudden it changes. I think we have a call. I believe it was Nick is calling into the show. We'll take a call, and then we have an update on the predictions.
Okay.
So I guess let's go out to Nick. Nick, thanks for calling in. What are you thinking?
Hey, what's going on, gentlemen? How we doing?
Great, Nick.
Good,
Where are you
how are
calling
you?
from?
Yeah, so, I know how much Russ loves to speculate, so I'm going to give you something here to speculate about.
Go ahead.
We haven't seen the Flyers' third jerseys yet this season, this nice black ones. And I've seen a couple of, theories about how they're bringing back some kind of retro jersey, retro throwback, something or other. I just want to know if maybe you guys have any inside information on that or what you would like to see out of that.
Black jersey. Give me the black jersey. Give me the one.
The Bundy played in.
Yeah.
You played in
Yeah,
the.
those ones are
Did you
sick.
like that black jersey?
Love them. Love the black jersey. Yeah.
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 Like
great.
to me, it's an absolute no-brainer. Can I really quick say that I used to hate the black Sixers jerseys. I hated them. But something about how different they are from what they have now, all of a sudden it popped. And it seems like the Sixers have done gangbusters numbers in terms of merch on that stuff. The Flyers have a legitimate, just take everyone's money opportunity there if they go with the black jersey that Bundy used to play in. That to me is the easy one. Bundy, is there an obscure jersey you can think back to in Flyers history that's unique enough?
No.
No.
I used to like I do love the black jersey though. I think it was great.
It was.
Yeah.
It was really cool.
Here's what I have to say about this. And no, I don't. Nick,
If you poo-poo the black jersey,
I'm not going to poo-poo the black jersey, but
I will
I'm going
dump
to.
some cheese sauce.
No,
on your
but
head.
here's what I'm going to do. And Nick, maybe you can explain it to me. And maybe it's because I'm just an old fogey,
You're
right?
going to say fuddy-duddy.
I am a fuddy-duddy. Here's what I don't understand. Why everybody gets so fired up about jerseys anymore in sports. I remember watching,
'Cause you're
looking at
old.
jerseys, but
You're an
liked
older guy now.
I liked the older jerseys. I liked the retro jerseys. I always did. I never liked that teams got away from them. I'm glad that they've kind of gone back to them. But there is so much into going into what are a team wearing this week? What's the fit this week? Blah blah blah. Why is that such a big deal
It just is.
from week to week?
It's just a culture thing. I mean,
But why?
people, I don't know. I think it's perfectly fine. We can see over here at Chickies and Pete's on one of the screens. You got the Eagles in the all black right against the Bears. It was a good look with the black helmets. It was
Black
cool.
Friday black jersey.
Yeah, people just kind of like that stuff. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. You know what?
But
I
I
think?
don't understand it. I don't understand what the culture thing is. I don't
I
get
think
it.
it's just that it's an interesting thing. You have a little bit of swag to you.
I'll
You
tell-
got something unique.
Here's
a little bit
why I'm saying this. So we do all this great coverage on Patterson, and our stories do great. We have great traffic on the website.
Yeah.
Do you know what stories
It's always the culture stuff.
do best?
Yeah.
What uniform the Eagles are wearing this week?
Yeah.
Who the broadcasters are on the game this week?
All right, think about it like this. Do you remember the Princess Nick, thank you for the call. I got to put Ant in his place. So, do you remember the Princess Diana the Eagles starter jacket? Remember that? The famous photo?
Yeah.
And so then there was the re-release of it or whatever in the
Yes.
off season, and people lost their minds. I think it's just something about having something that's aesthetically different. It's just, why do people want the Kelly green? The Eagles didn't really win a ton, right, with the Kelly green, and all of a sudden,
Well, it looks better than their midnight.
it does. It does look really good, and so it makes sense.
Yeah.
I think it's just, you know what I think it is that's different for the Flyers though is that there's never been anything that's stood out in really stark contrast. There's not another logo that they've kind of rocked.
Thank God.
But you know how Anaheim has had different logos at different points, and then they kind of reinfused the old Mighty Ducks logo with the new color scheme. And so it feels like if you have something that's retro, it feels unique, and so people like it. The Flyers really don't have that. I'm not saying that they should. It's just interesting to me that,
Well, no, the black jersey, in all honesty, was the first time they went with something that wasn't orange and white. That's the only time that they've ever. Now they've had different variations of the black jersey, the sleeves were different. There was the one that they added the orange in the sleeve, which I didn't like as much as the black one from your day. But they never really had that contrasting jersey.
The black one, I mean, you could do it in black in any way you want as the third alternate jersey. You just don't want to make it where the uniform looks like a disaster.
Yeah.
Like the Phillies, the Friday night Phillies jersey.
God, it's awful.
It's the worst thing I've ever seen.
It's awful.
It's embarrassing.
the City Connect things.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's
so
just
bad.
horrible, dude.
They don't even like them.
Hey, Bundy, we got a really good question here over on YouTube from James Thompson. What jerseys did Hitch like?
The quadruple XL ones.
I knew it.
And on that, let's go back out to the phones. Matt is on the line. Matt, how are you doing? Thanks for calling Snow The Goalie.
No problem. Doing well, guys. Hope everybody's doing well out there. I'm calling from balmy Winnipeg, where it's -4 Fahrenheit. I did the math for you there.
Oh,
my
very
God.
nice. Good math, Bert. The good transition or translation for you.
Yeah.
A lot of snow on the ground?
I just got a question.
A lot of snow on the ground?
There's enough for no trade clause to be activated. Yeah.
Yeah.
By the way, I think you're our first Winnipeg caller so far this season.
Hey, you know what? I'll take that. We're an interesting bunch. Anyway, enjoy listening to you guys. Just got a question here. If we're going to look at this thing, I'm going to kind of side with Russ a little bit, just for devil's advocate. But if we're looking at this thing from a macro point of view, and I know there's been rumors out there a little bit about Hughes. It seems like the free agency thing fell through, but I think we can all agree there's been real growth, which is great to see. But that elite talent question will always kind of hang, for those of us that maybe, are a little bit skeptical of things, even though, we're more optimistic lately. If, they don't get Hughes, free agency kind of seems to be a wash. Let's say, we kind of continue the status quo for another year or two, but the same issues remain. If you guys are, let's say in charge at that point, what's the play there?
So that's a great question, Matt, and here's how I'll respond to it. And you could say this for any sport. There's always going to be guys available that you don't know are available, because teams at some point will suddenly decide, well, it's not working here. We're going to kind of change the dynamic of our team, and we're going to trade this star player, or we're going to blow up our roster and start over again. And there's always teams like that. And so maybe when you look at what the Flyers had here as their original game plan, and there's no doubt, as Russ has pointed out, that they wanted to be players in free agency next year, and most of the players that they were most interested in are no longer available. But that doesn't mean that there won't be guys that they can go out and trade for. The one good thing that you can look at with the Flyers is they have accrued a lot of assets. And what I mean by that is not just picks, but prospect players. That taking all those players in last year's draft, you took a lot of players that other teams would be interested in. Not all those guys are going to make it, but not all those guys are going to have an opportunity with the Flyers either. Those guys are going to be used as assets to acquire other talent. And who that talent is, I don't know. As JJ was talking about, does Buffalo decide to blow it up? And does a player like Rasmus Dahlin become available, or Tage Thompson become available that you weren't expecting to? Does Toronto look to change their dynamic if things start going bad, next year as well? They struggled some this year, and maybe somebody from that team shakes free. You never know. So I look at the teams around the league and say, you might not think that there's a team out there that's going to trade this guy. This guy might not be available, but then all of a sudden they are, and it's like, well, wow, I didn't see that coming. So I think that happens all the time in sports. So that's what I would say. That's how I would handle it. But yeah, there's always going to be opportunities to make those trades. Yeah, are the free agents dried up? Pretty much. I mean, yeah, Panarin's still out there, but he's not the kind of guy you're going to be looking for. There might be some other secondary free agents that can help the team and make them a little bit better. I mean, when you look at what Danny did last year or this past offseason, is there another GM who had a better offseason in free agency and trades than the Flyers right now through the first 25 games of the season? I don't think there is. Now, obviously, we'll have to wait and see what that looks like in February, but right now I don't think there is.
That was a nice long answer. I think we're going to try something here. We're going to see if we can go into overtime. We're going to potentially say sayonara to the people listening on the radio and thank them and wish them well.
Yeah.
And we're going to try for the first time to go into overtime here on the radio show for like 2 minutes. You could go. That's fine.
Yeah.
We're just going to test it out and see if it works. All right. Predictions for tonight. We'll obviously get to that over across the way. We'll get into that over at the Xfinity Mobile Arena. Bundy, you obviously you'll have your keys later on when we do pregame.
Yeah.
What's the number one thing that you think the Flyers have to do better tonight than they did on Monday against Pittsburgh? Is it the forecheck? Is that
forecheck? That would be number one. And penalty killing. I said the penalty kill had to be good, but that has to really get better quickly in the forecheck. They have to turn pucks over, get on defensemen. And I really thought there was no better opportunity the other night than to get on guys like Letang and Carlson, and it just didn't happen. But tonight they've got guys over on Buffalo to give you the puck too if you get on them quick.
Oh, this is an interesting question before we head out. K-Dub asks, if Austin Matthews were to become available, is he worth selling the farm for? I only ask because he may be one of the biggest problems in Toronto.
I think he's hurt myself.
You think so?
I don't know that.
Just trying to play through it.
I don't think he's healthy. So I don't want injured.
If he's not injured, would you consider?
Well, then maybe he needs a relocation because he looks some nights completely unmotivated.
Okay. Ant?
Assuming he's healthy, I mean, when you say sell the farm, I don't know. Again, I don't think you need to sell as much as people think you need to sell to get these kinds of players. I do think it's like, an NHL player, 2 prospects, and a high draft pick. Yes, if that's what it takes to get Austin Matthews and he's healthy and you deem him healthy, I would take Austin.
I still think, like, wherever the Flyers are, and I know his name's been mentioned, but Quinn Hughes, to me, is still the guy that I think they should try to get. If he's out there and available, it looks like Vancouver's selling. This team needs a number one defenseman. And getting Quinn Hughes would really put an end to that conversation for a while.
And as Ryan mentions, he says he lives in Toronto and Leafs fans are fed up with Matthews. Nobody gets him the puck anymore without Marner gone. Well, let's just play the game here. Bring him to Philadelphia. You play him with Trevor Zegras.
Yeah.
Will Zegras get him the puck?
Yeah.
Right?
Sure.
I mean, just saying, like, that's the kind of player you need somebody to get him the puck. So I think that's what it would be.
All right. Well, a big thank you to everybody who joined us tonight here at Chickies and Pete's in South Philly. A big thank you to everybody who joined us over on YouTube, Facebook, and X. We will be back online on YouTube, Facebook, and X in less than an hour for Press Row Show pregame. Go find us over there for pregame, intermissions, and postgame. Bundy's got to run over to do radio, and we will talk to all of you a little bit later on. Big thank you to everybody who joined us. And don't forget, you can always find the show in the podcast feed as well on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Pandora, Amazon Music, wherever you get your podcasts. For Ant, for Bundy, I'm Russ. Have a great night, everybody. Talk to you very soon here on Snow the Goalie.